at very young age, it is very happy and also very wondering that no, he has so much knowledge about the scriptures, and in fact he has a inheritance gain of inheritance. So it's like Jhumpalahari tells that the loss of inheritance loss, but no, he is the person who has an inheritance gain, and his grandfather is very well-known Padma Shri awardee, Dr. Ansuman Kar, and he is also a very extremely erudite in scriptures and also a speaker. And I am really very envious to Dr. Ansuman. He also very young as he is so good in delivering such talks on spiritualism and Jagannath Culture. So I will not. We are already late. I will not take much time, and so he is other than the spiritualism also he is very much connected on the literature, and he is a publisher also. So welcome you again, Dr. Ansuman, to this platform, and I hand over to you to this platform. Please carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I hope my voice is audible.
Yes, it's audible. For me, it's okay.
At the outset, I would like to wish everyone a very happy New Year 2024. And I would like to regret that I was late by 15 minutes for the meeting because of some technical issues. And it gives me immense pleasure that I have been given this opportunity to address this very learned gathering. I was looking at the list of members and attendees of the group, and it is a very learned gathering that has joined today, and to speak before you all is a pleasure as well as an honor for me, which I humbly accept. And here I would like to recall one thing of late Sri Manoj Das. You all must be knowing the eminent literary person of Odisha. He used to say that as an audience, what matters is not the number but the quality. So today I am experiencing a quality audience who in their own right are well established and well versed in the literature, culture and other forums. So in this forum, when sir asked me to speak on a topic on Lord Jagannath, it was a very tricky question for me that what I should be speaking on Lord Jagannath that would inspire or would engage, keep this audience engaged with me. And in this pursuit, I thought of presenting you all one of my very first English articles that I had written. That was The Brand of Jagannath's Evolution. It was the title of that article, and today's speech would be based on that. As you all must be aware, right now we are in the midst of celebration of the Sri Mandir Parikrama Yojana. You all must be hearing about it. On the 17th it is going to be inaugurated, and at the same time the Ayodhya Ram Mandir is going to be inaugurated on the 22nd of January. So it is a month, I look at this month as a month of spiritual, or as we say in Odia, Adhyatmikata. It is a month of spiritual upliftment or a spiritual events that is happening. Within this, a lot of reports and medias that you would have seen would have suggested or criticized the government, telling that there is no need of such hype about a Parikrama Yojana and all, in which they are only inaugurating some toilets or some pathways or some reconstructed mutts and all. So there is no requirement of such a pomp show of everything. But here I would like to introduce my topic, that is why this is important. This is important because Lord Jagannath is not just a deity, he is a cult, he is a brand, he himself is a nation. The late Utkalamani Gopabandhu Das had said, Utkale nahi netanka prayojana, Utkalara neta swayam Narayana. That means Odisha is that country in which the highest authorities, the highest ruling authorities have also dedicated their supremacy, their authority to the Lord. And that is the reason why Lord Jagannath has been the Prana Bindu or the Prana Kendra, the heartbeat of every Odia. Why every Odia is mad? Why every Odia, no matter whether the rice or the betel nut that you are giving to the Arpan Rathas, whether it is reaching to Puri or not, but it carries a lot of spiritual importance because we are spiritually connected to Lord Jagannath. We are connected to Lord Jagannath not as a deity, but as a member of our family, as a person, as a friend, as a philosopher, as a guide, as an ambassador of our state. That is how Jagannath is looked at. To start from the start, let us first analyze how this evolution started. You see, my grandfather, late Padma Shri Rajatkar, and many of his era have been propagating one particular point about Odisha's literature, Odisha's culture, Odisha's history. And that point is that Odisha is that land where two big civilizations, the Aryas and the Dravidas, they have culminated, they have merged. It is a place where both the Aryas and Dravidas have lived, have nurtured, and have created their own system, which in our version we call it as our Odia culture. You can see that Odia culture, what is unique about our culture is, if you analyze, there is something of the Aryan culture, there is something of the Dravidian culture, but then bring a culmination, there is a very different culture, that is the Odia culture, or to be precise, that is the Jagannath culture. And there was a need for Lord Jagannath to come. When India attained independence, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had to take a lot of strain in bringing more than 500 kingdoms, small to big kingdoms, together under one roof. And that roof was our tricolor. To bring all the Rajputanas together, there was a name used of Maharana Pratap. To bring all the Maratha divisions together, there was a name of Shivaji that was used. But in case of Odisha, if you will analyze, Odisha was not united for Surendra Sai. Odisha was not united for Kapilendra Deva. But Odisha was united by only one name, that is Jagannath. Now how this happened, where this happened, why this happened, that is what we are going to discuss in this journey to know about the evolution of Lord Jagannath, who is to us a brand in today's day. Neeladrau shankha madhye satadala kamale ratna singhasanastam sarvalankara juktam navagana ruchiram sanjutam chagrajenam bhadrayam bhamabhage rathacharana krutam vedanang saramekang srujana parikrutam brahma rudrendra bande sakala bhuvitalam brahmadaru smarami Brahmadaru Smarami. When we invoke Lord Jagannath, this is a very popular shloka in which Lord Jagannath is said as who? What is his identity? He is that person who is living in Niladri, Shankha Madhye Satadala Kamale, Ratna Singhasanastam. The place where he is living, where he is residing is the Ratna Singhasan. Lord Jagannath is living in that Niladri, which is a Shankha Kshetra, a conch-shaped place. In the middle of that, in between thousands of lotuses. If you see the Jagannath, the Puri map, you will see that of the temple, if you see, it is a conch-shaped Puri. Then there is a yantra type where 1,000 lotus petals have been done. And in between, on the Ratna Singhasan, is the place where Lord Jagannath is sitting. And that is the place that was recognized, and that is the place where the Adi Shankaracharya first established the present Trinity. But in Odisha, the movement of Lord Jagannath didn't start from Adi Shankaracharya. It dates long back to the time, if we are to believe history, then there was a king called Indravarman of the Malvya side, of the southern kingdom, who in our Puranas, it is somewhat similar. Historically, maybe it is Indravarman, but Puranically, he is Indradyumna. Indradyumna is one devotee of Lord Vishnu who had a desire to build a temple for the Lord and to establish the Lord in that. During that time, he worshipped the Chaturbhuja Vishnu, and he had a dream that there is a blue diamond in which Lord Vishnu has been carved with his 4 arms as the Chaturbhuja. That is the Shantakarang, Bhujagashayanang, Padmanabhang Sureshang, Vishwadharang Gagana Sadrusang, Megavaranang Shubhangam, Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam, Jogi Vidyanagamyang, Bande Vishnu Bhavayara, Sarvalokaikanatham. The avatar of Lord Vishnu that is invoked in this shloka is the 4-arm of Lord Vishnu, which we see in every other Vishnu temple. Be it Balaji, be it Dwarka, be it your Padmanabha in Kerala, Tiruvananthapuram. Everywhere Vishnu has been depicted with 4 arms. So this Indradyumna or Indravarman, you can say for now, because there is a historical contention, let us assume that Indradyumna was a Puranic figure, but at the same time there is a historical person by the name of Indradyumna who was the first person to start, or under whom this evolution started. Now Indradyumna had a dream that there is someone called Jara Sabara, or a tribal king in this region of Odisha, which is again contested that it is the Mahendragiri area where these tribals who were staying, they had found a blue diamond shaped statue of the 4-armed Vishnu, which they were worshipping. Now Indradyumna, after becoming the ruler of this part of the world, he sent his representative to find out where this blue statue is. This blue statue is nothing but the Nilamadhava. This Nilamadhava is, some say, Nilamadhava is the most primitive form in which Lord Jagannath first appeared on this land of Odisha. When Nilamadhava was found out by Vidyapati, then the king was informed about it. Then the king brought him, went to retrieve the statue, but the statue had disappeared. Then the Puranas, as you say, the king again saw a dream of a log of wood floating to the Banki Mohana from where the divine Daru was recovered, and then the trinities were made. This is what our Puranas or our mythology takes. What does our history talk about it? Our history is very clear in this matter. There was Nilamadhava Upasana, no doubt, because this particular word Madhava, or for that matter the word Jagannath, some believe is derived from the word Jaganta. Jaganta or Madhava, these two words are very familiar tribal words in which Jaganta means a tree that is worshipped. Madhava means a mardala shaped or a round shaped body or a wooden frame that is worshipped by the tribals. These are two interpretations, but let us take Jaganta as an interpretation. Jaganta is the tree god of the tribals whom the tribals used to worship. So from that, whether it was a blue diamond statue or just a simple blue statue, because some say Nilamadhava comes from Nilagiri Pahada. It is believed that on the coast of this Purushottam there was a Nilagiri Pahada. It is believed that the Mahendragiri, the mountain range, was also referred by some as the Nilagiri mountain range. Because Madhava was there, his name became Nilamadhava. But there is certainty, some dialects that were recovered by late Padma Shri S.N. Rajguru and others, they have very much affirmed that there was some kind of a Madhava Upasana in the Mahendragiri region much before, maybe 1,000 years before the present temple was built. So from there, the Trinity's appearance was a mythological story. But historically, how have they evolved? As I said, Odisha was a culmination point of the Aryas and Dravidas. By this I mean, as you all know, our Hindu Dharma was popularly divided into three sects. That is Saiva, Vaishnava and Shakta. Shakta, to some matter, was a subdivision that came from the Shaivism. So we can take this point as there was primitively two major divisions. One was the Shaivism, second was the Vaishnavism. And if you see our Puranas, the Shiva Puranas and all, and the Vishnu Puranas and all, are inspired in that line. You will see in the Vishnu Purana, it is said the world starts from Lord Vishnu. And in the Shiva Purana, the same thing is said, the world starts from Lord Shiva. So these two major sects of Hinduism that was there was a need to establish a commonness between this. And that was the uniqueness of the intellectual or the spiritually matured people of Odisha of those times. After Nilamadhava Upasana, the next Upasana that started in Odisha was that of Sankarshana and Vasudeva. Sankarshana is a two-armed manifestation of Lord Shiva, and Vasudeva is the four-armed manifestation of Lord Vishnu. This Sankarshana and Vasudeva, in between them came Ekanansha, that was Devi Durga, once the Shaktism started developing. What is the historical evidence to this? You will see in the dialects, in the carvings of the temples of today's Ananta Vasudeva temple, the trinity of Vasudeva, Sankarshana and Ekanansha Durga, the marble statue that you are seeing today, this statue is some 70 to 80 years old. Behind that, there is another statue that is another 100 years old, which is of a stone statue that also has, in that, Ekanansha Durga is there, Chaturbhuja Vasudeva is there, and Chaturbhuja Sankarshana is there. Then if you, there were findings from the depths of the Bindusagar, in which old statues of only Sankarshana and Vasudeva, the two-armed Sankarshana and four-armed Vasudeva was seen. Those were recovered by the then great archaeologists and historians like our Satyanarayana Rajguru and Kedarnath Mahapatra and all. They have interpreted, and they were the one who first propagated this idea that there was a system of worship of Sankarshana and Vasudeva. This is further fortified with the fact that if you go to Lingaraj temple, once you come out from, after having the darshan from the Garbhagriha of Lingaraj Mandir, when you come out, just in front of that mandap that is there, just behind that mandap, there is a small temple of Ananta Vasudeva. In that small temple, there are two statues. One is the present day Trimurti statue of Sankarshana, two-armed, Ekanansha, and four-armed Vasudeva. Then there is another broken statue, which is said it has been broken by Kolapahada. And many temples, small temples of Lingaraj Mandir, and you can say of the entire Prachi belt, Prachi river belt, from Jajpur to Puri. A lot of old and ancient temples were destroyed by this demon called Kalapahad of the Muslim rulers of Bengal, who was a representative of them. So so that temple also contains this statue. So this proves that there was a system before this system of the present day Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra came. There was a system of Trinity worship in which Sankarshana, Ekanansa Durga and our Vasudeva were worshipped. So here we have come to the culmination of three things: Saivism, Vaishnavism and Shaktism. Then further, as the society kept on evolving and at the same time as the regimes kept on changing, the regimes, by regimes I mean the Kesari dynasty, were predominantly Shiva worshippers. So they were not very much keen towards the worship of Lord Vishnu. Similarly, the Ganga dynasty, they were predominantly Vaishnavas, or they were not very much keen about worshipping of our Shivas. But it is during these two dynasties a very unique concept of Harihara Upasana, which is a unique and completely, you can say it is completely GI tagged culture of Odisha, that is the Harihara Upasana. It is not found anywhere else. In our Lingaraj Mandir, you will see Belpatra is given and Tulsi is also given. In Jagannath Mandir, there are Panchu Pandava Shiva Mandirs where Shiva is worshipped with Belpatra. Whereas in a normal Vaishnavite temple, you are not allowed to even take a Belpatri leaf inside that temple. They are so strict about it. But here, that is the uniqueness of Odisha, that is the Harihara Upasana. Coming back to what we were discussing, Nilamadhava evolved as Sankarshana and Vasudeva, and then they evolved as our Ekanansha Durga, Sankarshana and Vasudeva. Then there was a time in which there was a lot of invasion that was happening. Slowly, this Sankarshana Vasudeva that was there, Ananga Bhimadev III, who were, or Chodagangadev first, Chodagangadev and Ananga Bhimadev, it is between these two rulers of Odisha that the Jagannath temple came up. And it is during this time that for the very first time the present formless concept of the Lord was introduced to the public. Why was it introduced? There was a lot of contentions that was happening. Hinduism was slowly breaking into many sects. The Ramanandis, the Shankaracharya had not come by that time. The Shaivas, the Shaktas, the Ganapatyas, the Subramanyams, they were all, Hinduism was slowly breaking into many sects. But the core of our Sanatana Dharma was the Lord is omnipresent, formless. And that was a time when the intellectuals of those time, the kings, their spiritual masters and others who were responsible, they thought of a form like this who will be incomplete but complete. Then there you find that for the first time there was an introduction of Lord Jagannath with the with the eyes and half built arms. This has been certified in one of the few scripture art carvings of the Konark temple. When you will see in the Konark temple, there is a picture of Narsinghadev. He is worshipping a Shivalinga, a Mahisamardini Durga, and for the first time the nation sees Lord Jagannath with a much smaller eye, a more, I can say the eyes are much more like the eyes of today's Lord Balabhadra. So like that, for the first time Jagannath was introduced to the conscience of the public. That concept carried on to be, you can see all the places where the Madhava Upasana is done today. Madhava is a singular form of Lord Jagannath. Only Lord Jagannath is there, then that is a Madhava or a Dadhibamana temple, Nila Madhava, Kantilo Madhava, all these places earlier had only one statue of Lord Jagannath, and it was a stone carved one. Then there was a time when, because of its prosperity from Ganges to Godavari, Odisha was attacked time and again by intruders because of its wealth. It was during this period Ananga Bhimadev III who first took the initiative of calling Lord Jagannath as the Rashtra Devata. It was a very calculated political move by the king of that time. The king of Khorda or the Khorda Katak Puri region, who was the Gajapati, he needed warriors to fight for him and needed the small Gadjats to stand behind him against this warfare for the against the intruders. From the north it was the Bengal, from the south it was the Marathas who were coming, and then the Malwas were there, and over the sea, overseas intruders were also targeting Odisha at that point of time. So consciously the king and his coterie took a decision of declaring Lord Jagannath as the Rashtra Devata. The king became the Senapati or the representative of the Lord, and the king asked the people to join with open hands in saving the Lord's dignity. That was the time when the story of Kanchi Abhiyan was also added in, where it was said the Lord himself took the charge of the army and marched towards Kanchi to win over it. This was all created to inspire the general public that yes, this Lord is our own. But at the same time, the introduction of the formless concept, formless Lord, that concept was there somewhere behind the people. It was very difficult for them to accept, because a normal person, a normal common man who has no knowledge of all the scriptures and all, he will not understand Lord as Param Brahma. For him, Lord Vishnu with those 4 arms and those costly attires is Lord Vishnu. For him that Shivalinga is Lord Shiva. If you tell him that you worship Om and then that Om sound resonates and that Param Brahma is the Lord, it is very difficult for him to accept. So to make this formless accepted, Shankaracharya, when he re-established or reinstated Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra, he introduced them as the avataris. Lord Balabhadra was given the mantra of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jagannath was made Kling Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijanna Vallabhaya. And Devi Subhadra was worshipped as a form of Yogamaya. That was the time when for the first time the Lords were shown as incarnation. And then when Chaitanya came, this thing became completely personal. The Bhakti cult or the Bhakti revolution time of Chaitanya, he completely changed this concept and made this thing that Lord Jagannath is the continuation of Krishna, Balabhadra is the continuation of Balaram, and Subhadra is their dear sister, who is the daughter of Vasudeva. So personalization was made of the Lord's finer concept. It was personalized for the mass to be more connected. There when the mass was getting connected from time and again, slowly the Ratha Yatra, the Snana Yatra, the Doli Khela, the Holi Khela, the Anasara, all these things started coming up. Stories started coming up, and stories were such that Lord was given a human face. Lord, when given a human face, becomes a part of our family. Today, if during doing the rituals of our forefathers, if we forget their name, this Lord Jagannath is so close to us that if we don't remember our forefathers' name, we name them by the name of Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra. Our Pinda, our Shraddha is done by that name, if you cannot recollect the name of your forefathers. Such is the evolution of Lord Jagannath. Such is the invasion of Lord Jagannath into the daily life. It surprises why when I wrote this article, what was most surprising for me was that during Snana Yatra or the grand bath of Lord Jagannath that happens 15 days before the Rath Yatra, during that time it is said Lord Jagannath was bathed with 108 pots of chilled water that was taken from a well that was kept closed for over 1 year, and then the Lord caught fever, so he is forbidden from meeting anyone. He is recovering, he is on a recovery bed. In our medical term, if I say, the gods are taking rest and they are taking all kinds of medicines, rehydration, drinks for their recovery. The doctors are taking care of them. If required, there will be some, and it has been pronounced as a normal viral fever that has prolonged a bit. Then, what surprised me the most is, in the Anasara Pindi where the present Daru forms are there and they are recovering, just in front of them there is a bamboo carcass. On that bamboo carcass, there is 3 images of 3 Patachitras. What are these 3 Patachitras? Vasudeva, Bhuvaneshwari and Sankarshana, Bhuvaneshwari and Ananta Vasudeva. See, here the connection has been established with the past. today's Lord Jagannath is represented by those Pattachitras. During the Anasara time in the temple, if you go, there are 3 paintings. One is the Sankarsana, one is the Bhuvaneshwari, another is the Ananta Vasudeva. Maharudra, Mahadurga, Mahavishnu. This is the reflection. This is the connection that was established between the past and the present, where the God sends a message that I am one. Behind that bamboo carpet, the lords are given only fruits to eat. They are wearing only white cloth, nothing, no ritual, no royal ritual, nothing is happening there. But right next, just this side of that carpet, the lords are eating all the chapan bhogs. All the royal rituals of the temple are being done in front of them. And then, again during that point of time, 17 kilometers from Puri at Alarnath or Alarnath, the Lord is giving an audience to his devotees as Alarnath. This triggers a point about how Lord Jagannath, in his evolution to become close with the public, he has maintained his divinity. The famous poet of our time of Odisha, Kavi Samrat Upendra Bhanja, had rightly said, Snana gundi chaye beni swayam leela jar patita pavana arthe prasadu bahar. Snana and Gundicha, this is the two festivals where the main ideals of the devotee come out of the temple to give an audience, to mix with the people. Nowhere in the world the main deities of a temple come out to mix with the people. In other places, people are mad for the Lord, but here the Lord is mad for the people, and that is the mad rush with which he comes out every year to meet his devotees. This thing was established, and further our Panchasakhas, starting from Sarala Das to Jagannath Das, Balaram Das, everyone during the Chaitanya time, under the inspiration of Chaitanya, started creating all these stories. The story of Lakshmi Purana, when the lords were roaming around after having sent Mahalakshmi out of the temple, they were roaming around begging on the streets for some food. What was this? How can a national deity or deity who has been declared as the king of this land, how can he roam around on the streets like this, like beggars? This is the liberalization, or this is the uniqueness of Lord Jagannath's culture. Lord Jagannath's brand value. Had Lord Jagannath not been shown like this, as someone who fights with his wife, just like we fight with our wife, who tries to mollify the wife because he went out with his brother and sisters, just like we do sometimes. Only because of these interpretations, the Lord has come closer to us. Sarala Das further testifies this. He said, Ramakrishna Subhadra Je e tini pratima Sri Purushottama Vijay Hari Hari Brahma. He portrayed, he further testified what Chaitanya said. And then when Chaitanya went out after him, when the so-called Prabhupada and the Bhakti Vedanta movement of the ISKCON came, Lord Jagannath broke all the boundaries and started spreading to the entire world. There, when he started spreading to the entire world, all those discussions started coming up. How Lord Jagannath means Lord of the universe. how he has unified everyone. What was his uniqueness that helped Shankaracharya to defeat the predominant, the royally patronized Buddhist and Jainas of those times to establish himself as the national deity? It is said, Pranipatya Jagannathang Sarva Jina Bararchitang Sarva Buddha Mayang Sthitta Vyapino Gaganopamam. Jagannath is that who is highest form of all the Jinas or all the Jaina Mahagurus. And he is also that Buddha whose popularity or whose prabhav is vast or infinite as the sky. These kind of shlokas being made for Lord Jagannath was unique to this country, was unique to Odisha. Then minor things, how minutely Jagannath unifies the entire universe. You see the representation that was given. Lord Jagannath was made to understand as the four murtis that were there. They were made to understand the representatives of 4 Vedas. Balabhadra je Sama hoi, Ruk je Subhadra atai, Jajurveda Sri Jagannatha, Atharva Sudarsana Partha. All these things were introduced in our literature to establish this fact that he is the culmination point of everything. It was said, Sarvada Niladre Sthiti Ethu Sakala Jata Honti Samasta Avataramana Jata Hoina Pasepuna. Here, one side they are saying Rama, Krishna, Balabhadra, Hari, Brahma, Hari. And on the other side, it is they are saying Samasta Avataramana Jata Hoi Pasepuna. That means he is the avatari as well as he is the avatar. He is the incarnate as well as the incarnation. That is the uniqueness that Lord Jagannath holds. Historically, if you see, today this is a very controversial thing, but historians agree to this. Today on the Lion's Gate of Sri Mandir, just above the Lion's Gate of Sri Mandir, the Dasavatar Patti that is there, the older pictures and the older structures of that Dasavatar Patti had Lord Buddha in the 9th place. And similarly, Lord Buddha was in the 9th place in the Dasavatar Patti just behind the Garuda Stamba inside the temple. But when this thing was decided by the state I mean it was the intellectuals of those times who, after defeating, because he was Sarva Jina Bararchitang, Sarva Buddhamaya, therefore Buddha was made a part of Jagannath, and then on the 9th place Lord Jagannath was placed, which you can see today inside the temple right behind the Garuda Stamba. Unfortunately, due to certain things, the Dasavatar Patti above the Lion's Gate of today's time is not very prominently visible. But these are certain historical things that cannot be neglected in our cultural adventure. Or, as I say, in our progress towards being a universal culture, we cannot leave behind certain historical facts, because this is our pride. Our Lord has earned this reputation that he is Sarva Jina Bararchitang, he is Sarva Buddhamaya. Our Lord has earned this, or he has made himself like that. He has guided the people to establish him like that. The Ganesha Besa, there are many misnomers with that. On this Snana Purnima, all refer to it as the Hathi Besa. But for God's sake, it is not the Hathi Vesa, it is the Ganesha Vesa, and it has a story behind it. It is the Ganapatya sects of Hindus to bring them closer to the Lord. When the Marathas were ruling, to establish the Lord's leadership or prominence even during the Maratha rule, this concept that Lord is all, the Mahaganapati. Therefore, the introduction of Ganesha Vesha was done. The Rama avatar, to accept all the Ramanandis, the Tulsi, the stories of Tulsidas coming and seeing Lord Jagannath's Pushyabhishek Vesha, the Rama avatar Vesha, Rama Abhishek Vesha, which is the most costliest Vesha of Lord Jagannath. Why these things? These things were done to spread one message, that He is one God behind whom the entire world can be gathered. That is the brand value. That is the brandness, or that is the evolution that Lord Jagannath historically as well as mythologically has gone through in becoming the heartthrob of our state. I would not like to take much time and conclude my speech by saying one thing, that Kavi Samrat Upendra Bhanja had very rightly expressed the feelings of the people of this state, of the kings of those time, in this line, Mano Dharana Kara he Karana Sarana Mutumba Pada Tale Sarana Mutumba Pada Tale Khayata Helani Pinda Khiti Khyati Ku Samarpili. The greatest poet of this land has submitted all his glory, all his greatness, all his poems on the feet of the Lord. That is the power of Lord Jagannath. That is the power that keeps us driving. That is why Lord Jagannath's parikrama or mandir is one thing that is above party, politics, people, anyone. In last 700 years, nobody could have thought that such thing can be done of the Lord. But it was done because 700 years Lord took time to find the right person to do this. But then again, if some person takes credit of it, then let me remind you, the mythology also says, when Indradyumna created Jagannath temple, his only desire was that I die without any son. I die without any generation, so that no one after me claims that this temple is there. So this temple is Lord Jagannath's. Lord Jagannath, whether today or tomorrow or day after tomorrow, he was present in a small temple. He was present on only the Veda. He was present in the present temple. But he is there in Purushottam Kshetra Puri always. That is Lord Jagannath. That is his brand value. That is his evolution. Thank you. Jai Jagannath.
Thank you, Dr.